and welcome to Sheer Edge Training. Today we are having a group chat about the situation that we are in now. So a chat about Covid-19, how it's affecting us personally, professionally, and where we see ourselves moving forward. We're really lucky today to have Neil Thompson from the Delegate Wranglers with us. So hi Neil, and thanks for joining us.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Really good. Considered sun shining, I'm all right.
I know it is a really nice day. It's been a nice few days, hasn't it? So we could all have a nice Easter break and enjoy being in the garden. What I wanted to do, so I'm going to ask a few questions to the Sheer Edge training team and also to Neil, and we'll have a discussion about this topic. If you've got any questions, please put them in the chat, and Gino will send them on to us so we can ask them to Neil or to any one of us. So I think we just need to start with COVID-19 and how it's affected our industry. So I don't know if Neil, you can just start us off with that question.
Yeah, well, massively is the word. Considering, you know, one of the prerequisites is that you can't meet in more than two people together. It's massively affected us, really. You know, and our group is a good barometer for that. You know, for anyone who doesn't know it, the Delegate Wranglers is a platform for the event industry, where buyers and suppliers connect really and do lots more than that, you know, meetups and things like that. So we're on that, you know, we're a good judge of how the industry is doing and what's happening in the industry in terms of like the number of inquiries being posted on the group. And, you know, we went from suddenly, I don't know, anything between 40 and 100 a day to, you know, 5 or 6, which is what's happening at the moment. It is picking up traction. But yeah, no, I mean, to answer your question, it's affected us massively, you know, because we're a good barometer of that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And just to pick up on that I've noticed in the group that there are people requesting sort of help with like venue finding, or, you know, they need supplies to help them with things. So it's definitely like on the change
slowly.
Yeah, which is really positive. If we can just pick up on that a little bit more. So if we're thinking about more work coming in, do we think people are going to use kind of this medium to, you know, your medium as in Delegate Wranglers to get more work? Or do you think people will be looking for different ways to get workers in? Will they be, you know, having to do more Zoom calls? Will they have to be doing more emailing, more phone calls? How do we kind of think that the business is going to come in the next, hopefully like 6 months to a year? Don't know if you can have a think about that, Mel.
Yeah, I think initially a lot of people are on furlough, so I think that will naturally just pretty much, unfortunately, grind everything to a near halt for the next few months. But I absolutely think that people are just not scared at all about Zoom, all of these different all of these platforms. So I think that, you know, there will be a lot more businesses connecting from the south of England up to the north. We can have meetings really easily. Look at what we're doing now. I think emails might drop, and I hope that they do, because they just get out of hand. And these kind of calls are just so much more proactive and productive. So I'm really hoping that we do see a change in the way that we communicate as well. But I think that, you know, these platforms like Zoom, Stream, etc., are a great way for business to pitch and have meetings and conversations with clients.
Yeah, definitely. I know, like as a Sheer Edge team, we've been on Zoom all the time, haven't we? Just chatting about how to work, how to improve things, because this is new for us as well, isn't it? So
yeah.
It's all a massive learning curve. If I can ask a question to Ian now, just about we've been off from work, kind of how's that affected you and your home life and personal life? Like, how have you been coping being at home for the last few weeks?
Good word. Surviving as well. Yeah, I think, well, being sort of newly self-employed, I was kind of ready to start going, and I had a lot of work like everyone else cancelled sort of very quickly on me. It's just trying to stay positive and stay optimistic that you know, we will get out of this, and there will be things in the future. You know, we will get through this. I think I'm just trying to remain optimistic. That this is forcing us to be more in contact with our colleagues and get together more, be it virtually. I feel like I'm in touch with more. I'm actually being driven and forced to be more proactive in contacting people and getting used to getting into people. So it's just putting structure to your day as well, and trying to work around your family life as well. I've got 2 kids, so it's difficult for me to get time away to actually work, and it's just getting that structure of doing some work as well as spending time with your family. Now we're in the holiday week as well, which people are losing touch of their days, they're losing touch of what even day it is. So it's just trying to keep a bit of structure to your day and just keep in contact with people and keep that going until we finally get a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel that there is work coming down the line.
Yeah. Neil, how do you kind of fill your days with the Wranglers? Kind of, it's obviously picking up again, but it's gone from being sort of massively busy. How are you kind of filling your time now? Now you're a little bit quieter.
You know what? I've actually been just as busy, really, because obviously because there's no kind of paid work coming in, because we do promotional things on the group, and I'm always charging around the country doing venue showcases and events and what have you. We've just devoted ourselves to helping the industry, really helping all our members to, use this time wisely. I think this is a time to develop your company, to be a bit reflective, really. Look at yourself, look at what you're doing as a company, look at what you could be doing better, new clients, that kind of thing. So we're trying to put everything in place so that we're almost like a racing car, finely tuned, ready to go. As soon as the button's pressed, people can spring back into action. So we've just devoted ourselves like 100% to that. So rather than me just sitting there and just watching the screen and nothing happening, I'm trying to go the other way. We've just like some of the things, the initiatives we've brought in is Delegate Wranglers Live, DW Live, which we have at least once a week. And that's so that people can learn about either a new product or upskill. We had a first aid trainer this week. We had Laura from Stress Matters last week. And also team building things as well, so to uplift people. So to try and keep them all engaged in that. We also started a new thing called DW Showtime, which is for all entertainers and bands to kind of promote themselves, and then we'll put it on our YouTube channel and promote them and give everybody the opportunity to check them out and stuff. And of course, we've got our regular things like supplier focus, and we just started something called Special Agents. And these are just purely to just give people a profile on the group so that people can learn a bit more about them. We're trying to do every single thing we can to be positive. We've extended our hours, like supplier hour is now supplier hour +1, to give everybody the opportunity to do that. So rather than just rest on our laurels, we're trying to encourage everybody, not just our members, outside of it in the industry to be ready to go. Also, I just want to say, Karen, going back to Melanie's point earlier, I think, like you say about using Zoom for calls and things like that, it'd be interesting to see in the future whether people will, once lockdown's over, will use it for like sales calls. Will be, rather than traditional go down and see people, and because you have that relationship, with them, will, people in sales use Zoom a lot more now to connect with people even more regularly or differently. And also, I think you're right about emails. I think teams now will communicate more often by Zoom than maybe just a group email of what's going on, or a teleconference. They're more like a video conference.
I think this time's probably taught people quite a lot that actually you don't necessarily need to have all of your calls and meetings face to face. Your initial meetings and introductions, you need to see people, but then after that you could happily have a Zoom call or use Webby or use Teams to actually communicate just as effectively. I mean, as a team, we use Zoom because you can share documents on there, so you can actually go through what you want to do, what you want to achieve for the week, and share things with everybody. So it is actually a really, really useful tool.
It's becoming like a normal thing to use now, isn't it? As well.
Yeah.
It's not like the great stigma. I don't want people to see me at home or anything.
Well, I think we're over that now as a team. We've been in all kinds of hair up, hair down, makeup, no makeup. I think it's like, oh, it's all right. It's just the team. Doesn't matter what I look like.
Yeah.
Gino, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Talking about moving forward with the industry, what do you think technology-wise we'll be looking at to communicate with each other and to look at the way events are going to be run? You got any inside information or any tips that you think are cropping up?
Well, I've definitely had a lot of time to think about such things moving forward, and I think one quick point to make is, obviously, as an event professional, and as all event professionals are, we're kind of conditioned and geared to react to any situation with the attitude of trying to fix it.
Yeah.
And at the moment, this is one issue that even the best event managers or production managers in the world can't fix. But I'm left with this kind of nervous frustration and energy that I need to find a solution. So yeah, I've definitely done a lot of thinking about what the future might look like and how best to be dynamic as a freelance production manager and producer. You know, I'm constantly trying to think about how I can be the strongest coming out the other side. And one of the areas of concern I've got is I think those small to mid-scale meetings that we maybe saw quite commonly in the past. So that's anything from sort of 5 to, let's say, 250 or 300 as a number. I think those size of meetings are the ones that we may see start to diminish and move away from a live connection or a real face-to-face, you know, real-world connection, and may move towards the digital platform, purely because it ticks so many boxes. You know, customers and clients don't have to pay to connect, or certainly don't have to pay anywhere near as much if they're using a digital platform. There's no carbon issues with travel, which is a big issue for a lot of companies these days, certainly in the global market with air travel. And the speed in which you can move from meeting to meeting is impossible to replicate in the real world. But absolutely, you know, it is our human nature to get together. So I think the larger scale meetings and events that we see, so anything from sort of, you know, 300 plus, I think there will be always an innate necessity or an innate urge within a human nature to come together and be in a room together. You know, let's face it, it's not about the curly sandwiches and the warm orange juice or whatever. It's about being able to talk and look into somebody's eyes, and I don't think that'll ever go away. So I think to an extent, the events world, I think, is safe, if you want to give it a phrase. But yes, I think there are certain sectors that will change, and we need to be dynamic to that. So there'll be a lot more requests for digital support, digital communication, or the ability to link maybe 2, 3, 4, or 10 offices together for a meeting, either in the same country or across the world, much like we see in much larger global business on a daily basis.
Yeah. Neil, did you want to add something to that?
I was just going to add to that, Gino. You know, I think, and I've thought this for a long time. The reason, you know, we've had the technology in for everybody to see somebody giving a live presentation and dial in and watch it forever. And, you know, you can download the slides from a presentation wherever. What we can't replicate is that connection that you have at, like, you know, coffee breaks or in a roundtable session, or, you know, going to the bar afterwards, or whatever it might be. I think those are the real bits where you get things from conferences, from going to a conference. So I do agree with you. It's a like contradiction, you know, ticks a lot of boxes. You're right with the carbon stuff and everything else, you know, price and cost, economy, everything, but nothing can replace the connection. And I think you're right. I think there will be, I think somebody mentioned that on the group, there will be some more hybrid events. You know, you might have a speaker dialing in. I think it might be the other way around. You might get the people together, and you might have the speakers dialing in and giving the talk, and everybody being in the room. I think things like that might happen, where you could save yourself thousands in flying somebody over, and also the carbon neutral aspect of it. So little things like that might change, I think. Personally.
Absolutely, I think there's definitely a generational difference in that, though, and it's I mean, I'm not a psychologist, and I don't claim to be, but I think psychologically, I think the perception of human interaction is very different for younger generations than it is for us, and I collectively say us being of the pre-millennial generation, I suppose.
Speak for yourself.
No offense to anybody, but yeah, I suppose anyone that isn't sort of a fully fledged, fully ingrained millennial or younger has a very different perception about human interaction. I, for example, still think it's rude to have a telephone on the table at dinner or at lunch or whatever, whereas my younger sister, who is very much a millennial, thinks nothing twice about answering a text or scrolling through Instagram at the same time as eating, and her and her partner will sit opposite each other at the table with their phones in their hands, the TV's on as well. And I think there is a very, very big difference. So it'd be interesting if anyone does or has any information on it, on what the perception is from younger generations about that human interaction at a professional level, of course, and whether or not they still hold the value of that, or whether they have a different opinion.
Ian, did you want to add anything to that conversation?
I was just going to say, from what's been said, I think the sales phase and the planning phase of events will go this way and be more virtual, but the value of face-to-face meetings will always be there. So I think it'll be the sales and the pre-planning will be more of this kind of format. I think, if Neil agrees with that.
Yeah, well, why not? I mean, it's better than the phone, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
I prefer. I've got a point now of ringing one of my friends or family every day, and I never call them. I just video call them. I mean,
Yeah.
who knew you could use a phone to actually ring somebody? You know, you just text them, or I only text or video call them. I don't ring anyone anymore. I really genuinely don't. And my son, who's 18, he doesn't ring anyone. He just texts or video calls them or Snapchats them or whatever.
Yeah.
Like never rings anybody. So I think you're right. It'd be interesting to get research. What Gino said, it'd be interesting to get see some figures on, you know, whether young people, you know, 20-year-olds are seeing things differently to us. You know, I'm old school. I like going to actual meetings and meeting people. You know, that's what it's all about.
Well, we've just had a really valid point come up from Jan, just saying that all that money that we're going to save, not driving to meetings, we can spend it on other things, can't we? Like wine, entertainment, things like that.
Might have known that'd be Jan. Can I also say, Jan, I don't know if any of you seen the document that Jan has produced, called
Yes.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
It's emergent. Sorry, it's amazing. It's amazing, and if we can, you should post a link if you haven't got it already. Post it up on your in your group because it's fantastic. Great work, Jan.
Yeah, no, she has done good. Yeah, and we're as a team, we are working with Jan on lots of different things because I think this time I think is teaching us about sharing ideas, and it's sharing and working with each other, and I think that it's going to bring us together stronger, because we're all giving our time to kind of have new ideas and new ways of working and new projects to move
I
forward.
totally agree with that. You know that because you go for a walk, and I say morning to everyone I see.
You do.
You know, who knew people would look at you and say hello.
So how many miles have you done now then on your daily walks?
We're 5K a day, and we've done 25 days, so we're over 100 now. 100K, about 100 miles.
That's amazing. That's pretty good going.
Yeah, you know what gives me structure as well. Get up in the morning, 8:30, go for a walk. It's
I think.
as well.
Neil, can I ask you? Are you still in the same sort of routine of working Monday to? Well, if you did work that routine anyway, are you trying to build a similar structure to work Monday to Friday, have the weekends off, and keep that?
Kind of. You know, I've been self-employed for a long time. I mean, I was an event manager for 20 years, 15 years as a freelancer in my own business, and then obviously started the Delegate Wranglers. I've been doing that now full time for 2 years. So I've always kind of worked from home anyway.
Right.
It's no difference for me. I've got a setup here where I can call people. I've got laptops and whatever I can.
Yeah.
You know, one top tip from me is if you've got a laptop, change the places that you work in your house. You know, maybe go and work in your office, and then maybe go outside or go in the kitchen. Just change things up, and it just freshens things up. But to answer your question, I mean, it's actually been having this enforced lockdown. Been amazing for me because I'm charging around all over the place. Anyone who knows me, I'm probably sleeping in hotels 3 nights a week.
Right. Okay.
Different places. So it's been really good for me to get a routine, and it's made me really think that this is the future. You know, I really need to have a routine. You know, I try and make a point of not looking at social media after like 10.
Yeah.
At night, you know, because otherwise, I mean, you only get bad news after that, don't you?
Yeah. You do.
Don't look at it. It's not worth it. And yeah, it's been the same for everybody else. Do you all guys work from home and stuff, or anyway?
Yeah. Permanently. Yeah.
So
I think we're all relatively new to working from home. So I think this has been interesting, like flexing your time and thinking, how do I plan my day? You've either got, you know, husbands to look after or children to look after, or you've got to take the dog out. You kind of building your own structure and routine, and also trying to work.
Fit your work around your day. That's the best thing about being, you know, self-employed, working from home. You can, as long as you get the work done and you're there for meetings when you need to be, you can actually sneak off and go to the bank or whatever it is to do. Well, not at the moment.
Get your hair cut.
But one interesting, I need my cut, by the way. One interesting thing is event managers are all like deadline driven, absolutely deadline driven, and suddenly there's no deadlines.
Yeah.
So it's been a really hard thing for
100%.
To switch over. It's really weird.
Yeah, we've had a little chat this week as a group, but also with some of our friends as well, and we're saying we're finding this week particularly difficult because I think we've had our 3-week lockdown, and now it's been extended, and kind of now it's like, oh well, when's it going to end? Like, there's
And
nothing
Easter,
in work.
Easter weekend didn't help, did it? You know,
Yeah, it's like, oh, we had a lovely bank holiday weekend and now it's still back to that routine. So you kind of got to keep picking yourself up again, and just keep motivating that. When we can go back to a semi-normal situation, we've survived this, and we've proved that we can work from home and can motivate ourselves. There's a couple more questions just to cover, if that's okay, everybody. The one thing, just to ask you now, is what are you excited about for the future in the events world? What's there? What's out there that's going to get us excited?
I don't know, and that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see what everybody who's bored is coming up with, and what new businesses will be launching. Like, yeah, some things will kind of sadly drift away, but the amount of startups that will come out of this is just, to me, so exciting. I can't wait to see what we'll be doing at an event next year, because it could be something that none of us have thought about. Or it could be that systems are in place to be unbelievably efficient. And that would be amazing as well. Obviously, we're all as efficient as we can be, but a miracle might come from that. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see all of the new ideas, all of the innovation that's going to come from people. Just having that time to, reflect and develop the ideas that they've had when they've been on an event and thought, oh, that would be great if that existed, but never have time to follow it up. So that's what I think I'm most excited for.
What about you, Ian? What do you think? What are you excited about?
I'm really looking forward to seeing whether this continues, whether this kind of communication, this format continues. Like I said earlier, we've been forced into doing this, but I think it'd be a real benefit for the industry if this continues. But as we're all creatures of habit, will we just go straight back to work and go back to your office, go back to your desk and carry on emailing? Will it be that quick? So I'm excited to see whether this actually is carried back into the workplace or carried back into events, and this continues to grow and increase when people actually get back to planning events. So I'm excited, and just seeing people again.
That's it for me. I just want to see somebody.
Yeah, I'm in touch with a lot of colleagues, a lot of friends, and we're doing a lot of virtual things. We've got social virtual things going on as well. But I am looking forward to just seeing people again and just starting to plan, and talk and plan, and that's it.
Yeah.
I think planning is a key word there. As event professionals, we kind of live our lives 2, 3, 5, 6 months in advance. We're always looking at what's coming over the hill, and we always have a little bit of vision about what the future is going to look like. What's happening today is kind of a done and dusted thing. We're actually living in the future, and at the moment that's what I'm really struggling to sort of wrap my head around, is the fact that I can't see the future. I can't see what's coming over the horizon, because until someone kind of explains how long this might go on for, no one can really put any plans into place. And that's both exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time. Certainly a lot of colleagues on the technical aspect or the technical side of production for events, that's quite an alarming thing as well. A lot of, and I'm not saying this is every company, but a lot of companies do sort of run on the business model of they will buy equipment with credit or finance on the understanding that the rental income from that equipment will pay the finance until it's paid for itself, and then they make profit. The challenge they've got at the moment is all of that equipment is sat on the shelf, not earning any income, but they're still having to pay the finance. And there's only so long that some businesses will be able to sustain that with the resources they've got until effectively the bailiffs come in and take the equipment away. And then even when the pandemic disappears, they can't earn any more money because they haven't got the equipment that they had to pay the loan, and then they'll disappear. And that's my worry for a lot of friends and colleagues out there in production. Anyone that's got an investment in equipment, and this is larger companies as well as small actually that are feeling this at the moment, that there could be a real change in the landscape of what facilities are available and the competition in that market.
And what about you, Neil? What are your thoughts on what's exciting out there?
It's not the most exciting thing, but hotel contracts. I think there's going to be probably some changes in hotel contracts and the way they're drawn up. I mean, certainly in the short term, definitely, because no one, people are trying to book events, and I think hotels are having to be really flexible with them. So it'll be interesting to see whether this changes, the way hotel contracts are drawn up and what's in them, and things like that. I'll just be interested to see. It's not the most exciting thing, but I will be interested. I think it's going to be good as well. Not, you know, we're not going to take things for granted anymore. It'll be good to you know, enjoy all these things that we do, whereas this has forced us to stop all these great and cool things that we do, you know, when you're on site, and suddenly, you know, it'll be great to get those things back again. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I think the biggest thing to come away from it is the kind of togetherness that's been apparent in this. You know, literally all of the industry has come together, and they all want to help each other, even if it's like rival hotel chains helping other rival hotel chains. You know, I think there will be a lot of positivity from this, and I totally agree with what Mel was saying. You know, there's going to be a lot of people, clever people, scratching their heads, putting great ideas forward, you know, having this time. When else do you have time to plan and, you know, think about ideas and brainstorm? You just don't. Especially when you're an event manager in the event world, you're just constantly running to stand still. So it's really good. I think some brilliant things will come forward from it, innovative things. I'm really excited. I'm most excited about the things that I don't know about, if you know what I mean. They're the best things.
Yeah. I think that's it. I think that's the consensus, isn't it? That we just don't know what's going to happen. So let's just hold on to our seats and just see where it's going to take us, and be ready for wherever it goes, because we just don't know. All we can do is sit here and be ready, and, you know, work with each other, support each other, and just, that's it. And when we're up and running, go, God, that time was really useful, because I could think, I could plan, I could work with other people, make new contacts, learn new skills, like, communication skills, new technology skills, anything like that. You've got time to build your skill set up as well. So so who knows what the future's going to bring, but it's going to be exciting, whatever it is, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So anybody got any other questions that we could ask while we're on here?
Do you think when we finally do go back to work and to events, that the first events will be planned virtually, or do you think we'll go back to work and then have 1 or 2, 3, 4 months to plan an event? Or do you think, do you know where I'm going with that? Or do you think the first, when we're in our industry, when you say that, yes, this event is definitely going ahead, and you're given the date for it, do you think that will actually be planned this way, virtually, right up until the day? Or do you think people will need to go back to work to plan an event?
We were talking about that, weren't we, the other day? Just saying that if you've got an event that is confirmed and is going ahead at the end of September, will people be back at work to plan it as a team, or will we be planning it like this?
And I think that might happen. You know, to say if us 5, 6 we're planning an event, this might actually have to happen, where we plan it virtually, and then the first time we see each other might be actually on the day. With caterers with caterers, etc., etc. But, or do you think that people will be scared to plan it virtually and then wait until everyone's back in the office before they let their event happen? Do you think that? So do you think they'll keep pushing it forward, and we'll keep chasing it until we actually do get back to work?
At the moment, we haven't got a choice, have we? It's government guidelines that if you can work from home, you have to. Ultimately, if the event's definitely going ahead in September, you need to be planning it now. So absolutely. And even when lockdown does lift, it will have to be a phased approach. You can't all just be like, brilliant, hundreds of people back out. And it will have to be a phased approach, schools, and then a slow return to normality. So I don't think it will even be an option to choose. I think if you're talking about September, it has to be virtual. That said, it probably wouldn't be as, extreme as the first time you see everybody would be on site, because we will start to be able to hopefully go out and about from August. Maybe before, who knows? But I just think people will be forced to work virtually.
I think the biggest issue might be getting people to have the confidence to actually go to the events. That's the thing you've got to think about. If we can't work together, why are people going to be sat in a room with 200 people? So I think the government needs to be really clear about, it's a bigger question, but I've read all these stories about making an app to show that you're not infected or you're immune, and then you bypass things that will say, you can come in, no, you can't, whatever. And it's a bit Big Brother, isn't it? Invasion of our privacy. So how they're going to handle that, I don't quite know. So it might be a kind of slow leap back to getting into big number events again. 200 people in a room sitting next to each other. I know it's just going to be really interesting, isn't it? That's going to be the biggest challenge. I think, getting people with confidence. Suddenly somebody said, "Okay, you can go now. You can go to London." Are you going to rush into a crowded underground?
Yeah, probably not.
No, you don't know.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
That's a really valid point. I think, attitude or mental perspective or perception of the risk moving forward is what needs to change. At the moment, we're acutely paranoid, I suppose, as a society, global society, about the risks of COVID-19 as it is at the moment, which is purely because we don't have any form of combat against it. I think if we can get to the point where we find a cure or a vaccine, for to use a better phrase, then I think perception will change quite quickly, because we can vaccinate those that are at high risk. For everyone else, we know it's just a common cold, or this is certainly what we're being told. It's just a cold and flu-like symptoms, and is actually relatively mild for the majority of people. I think realistically, the measures we're in at the moment are to protect the vulnerable and to try and limit the spread. I did read the other day, actually, that there was a study done or a report made that after other global pandemics or disasters in the past have caused a period of boom afterwards. For example, the Spanish flu of 1918, what followed was the Roaring Twenties. And then the next two, I think, in the article were the Great Depression and World War II. And the other decade that sticks out is the 60s, which followed another disaster. You have to forgive me, I can't remember what it was in the 50s that happened, but what followed was the hedonistic 60s. And they're saying effectively society in general, or people, feel like they have to make up for lost time. So we've had our liberties taken away from us, for lack of a better phrase. We're in this situation, and then potentially there will be an extended period of sort of party atmosphere coming out the other side of this, where we feel like we have to make up for the fact that we couldn't get together, and people will come together even more. So the pendulum will swing completely the other way for a period of time before settling down again. There's no doubt in today's world, especially with the technology that we've got, that there will be a complete 100% application of this moving forward forevermore. I mean, it's perfect timing for products like Facebook Portal to come to the market, which is a home product for video calling, basically. So instead of having a device in your hand, it can sit on a table or next to the TV, or even connect to your TV. And as soon as you get something into the domestic market and it's accepted, it becomes expected, if that makes sense. So it's the thing that 3D goggles could never do in the home, and virtual reality is still struggling to do. But things like headphones have become very much expected or accepted within a video call scenario, or whilst people are even sat in an office together with other people. So yeah, I think for me, video calling and video conferencing systems are here to stay at every aspect of human life now. Whereas we've seen it maybe only in international communication in the past. But I do also think that there will be this pendular kind of extreme reaction when we are eventually allowed, where people will want to come together even more. And I think we'll see an uptake of certain events for a good few years before things settle down again.
So my background is mostly conferences. So from a conference world, Gino, do you think there'll be an increase in video conferencing, or a decrease because people will want to see each other? Or do you think people will be too scared to attend the event and want to do a video conference instead? So
do you know what? I think I'd be foolish to try and predict it, but I'm going to anyway, because it's not a situation we've ever been in before, because I don't think we've ever really had the technology. But I think the two will grow together. So certainly in the smaller meetings and conferences world, and dare I say it, the phrase that we've all heard before of that meeting could have been an email, or that call could have been an email, or something like that. I think people will reevaluate the justification for a certain meeting, but as compensation for the fact that maybe 30% of their meetings that they would have held in person are now digital, it will give them more of a reason, more of an enthusiasm to make a point of having an actual meeting further down the line. So I think, like I say, that small to medium-sized conferencing and events world may shrink, but I think we'll see growth in those larger meetings that we maybe saw less and less of over the last 10, 12 years, where people all of a sudden go, well, we haven't met each other all year. We need to meet each other, because people will still crave that human interaction, that human connection.
Yeah, definitely. It's the social element, definitely, yeah.
Absolutely. So I think we'll see the two grow together, but for very different reasons, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think I agree with this, the sort of smaller scale ones. Whereas, as in my previous role, we had Skype, and Skype video calls weren't taking off because people weren't happy with looking at themselves and seeing themselves. So Skype
it was always considered a compromise. Yeah,
Skype chatting was massive. People were Skype chatting, but I very rarely did actual Skype video call. People didn't want to see themselves on screen. They didn't want to do it. And now they're doing it more and more, and we're doing it every day sometimes. So it's like, I think once people start to do it more and you get the confidence to do these kind of calls, then they will increase in the smaller meetings. So I agree with that.
Yeah, and I think we're in a little bit of a perfect storm with regards to the advancement in technology and, like I say, the acceptance by human beings and by society, especially with the advent of things like 5G technology. As soon as that becomes global, data transfer rates improve exponentially. They improve considerably over 4G and over cable network technology that we have at a consumer level at the moment. And all of a sudden it becomes incredibly easy to hold a meeting with multiple people with video feeds, much like ourselves now, without having any bandwidth issues, which is what you can run into if a meeting runs into maybe 20 or 30 different people all connected at once. So long as people stop burning down the broadcasting towers, 5G technology will be a huge game changer within the data and communications world, because of the speed in which we can transfer that data without the need for any cables whatsoever. I certainly predict that a lot of people will no longer need a cable connection for the internet in their home, because 5G will be so fast that it can all be delivered by microwave or satellite link, basically.
Wow.
And they're speeds that can't necessarily be rivaled by the infrastructure, certainly in the UK, that we've got across the country at the moment.
Well, I think, everybody, that feels like a nice end to our conversation. So yeah, that's been really interesting, everybody. Thank you for everyone's comments on the chat as well, and everyone's comments in the discussion. Yeah, it's certainly an interesting time, and hopefully a time that will come out and will be, that was brilliant. We used it all really well. We've come out positive. You know, we're going to come out into a world that who knows what it'll look like, but it's going to be fun and exciting, and we're all going to be in it. So thank you, everybody. Thanks, Neil, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Very much. Yeah.
Thanks, team. And yeah, if you've got any questions, just send us in the chat or send us on Facebook or LinkedIn. But thank you, everybody. Have a nice day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.